All right, so it's Sunny here. I'm gonna give you the exact breakdown of the outbound funnel that we've used to generate over $200,000 for one of the agencies we're currently working with in Europe. Let's get down to it. Let's start. Now, the first thing that I want to go over is the sourcing, right? So where did we find our leads? How did we source the right people to contact? I'm going to give you exactly, the process we used for this company. Then we're going to talk about outreach. That's going to be the next section. What copies did we use? What did we even do for outreach? We're going to touch base on that. After that, we're going to talk about the follow-ups. This is a very important part. This is super important because when you know how to follow up on people in the right way, and you can like literally be so persistent that they're like, who the hell is this guy? There's gonna build a lot of trust. And this is what we're here to do, because it's not an economy of attention, it's an economy of trust at this point. After that, because everybody can get attention, right? Like everybody can get attention on cold email. It's not about how much attention you get, it's how convertible that attention is. And then nurture. This is gonna be the last section. So after somebody books a call, to the point where they get on a call, what do we do? How do we position ourselves as somebody who's worth, actually for them to show up on that meeting, taking the time out of their day, especially for targeting like the ultra high end of the market. Like those people are they're very, very careful with how they're spending their time. I'm gonna put it this way. And then at the end, of course, you're gonna be closing these people. Our client, they have their framework, they have their sales team. You probably have some knowledge on sales. I'm not a crazy guy on that. That's why I'm only gonna touch base on this, right? Okay, so let's get into it. Now, first of all, I'm gonna give you the process that we used for them. Now, first what we did is we found 10 companies. Okay, so I'm gonna put out the orange marker. We found 10 companies manually. Okay, so you're going to take a look manually at 10 companies that are gonna be a really, really good fit for your product, okay? So 10 companies, and then what you're going to do afterwards is you're gonna build lookalikes. And the way you build lookalikes is with Ocean.io. It's a tool, it's quite expensive, but it's worth buying, because think about it, like if you're spending right now on ads $300, $400 per appointment, and you just use this system, spend let's say $300 on leads, on getting like the A-level leads, 10 out of 10 leads that are gonna be a perfect fit for your service, well then your cost per appointment could go down to like $50, $100 using the infrastructure, and you're gonna be at 3 times less the cost per appointment, right? So think about it this way, right? Think about Outbound that's running ads. It's not free. If you want to have a good and a scalable infrastructure, it's not going to be free. It's just like with ads. It's a little bit cheaper because it takes more time, and the cold email, they don't really want you to do cold email. When ad platforms, they want you to run ads, but it gets so much more because everybody's running ads these days. Like cold email is done by a lot of people, but the people that actually do it properly and reach out to the right leads, very few. I can tell you, very few people are doing this. So first of all, find 10 lookalike companies, and then I'm gonna put you on this thing. It's called Ocean.io. All right. So just search on Google. It's called Ocean.io, and then you're just going to put in these people, find lookalikes, make sure that you have additional filters on that, and then you're ready and set to have your database. That's it. Now, after that, what we're going to do is we're gonna use Clay. All right. This is the next thing that we're gonna use for lead sourcing. This is for enrichment and personalization. You can play around with Clay. They have their YouTube videos. They have a lot of stuff on that. But essentially what they do, what the tool is going to allow you to do is just to enrich more data from the prospect. So if you need their mobile numbers, if you also have like an SDR that can call them up, if you want to do cold SMS to these leads. But a very important thing is just to put in the exact ICP criteria and filter out the bullshit leads that Ocean.io gave you, right? Because there's going to be some bullshit leads that don't match your exact ICP. This is what we do for this client as well. Just filter everybody else out. It's very important that we do this. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is the outreach, okay? The outreach is a super important component because, you can get all of these right leads, you can get everybody who matches your ICP, but if you don't know how to contact these people, you're not gonna be achieving any results. It's just simply as it is. Now, when we're talking about this, for cold email, we use a tool called Instantly. Instantly.ai, that's the tool we use. Super cool, works really well, has nice analytics and everything. But of course, we track our analytics in Airtable and Google Sheets. But it's a very good software, has very good deliverability with the mailboxes because they've been in business for a fucking long time. So use Instantly for sequencing, and then use Warmy to warm up the mailboxes. Okay, you don't want to use instantly for warming up the mailboxes, because this is what, what's going to happen here is, this is not a platform for warm up. This is a platform for sequencing. Warm up is just their add-on. Warmy, they are designed specifically for warm up. Their whole purpose is warming up your mailboxes so that you land an inbox, right? It's very important that you do this. All right, now what you're going to do afterwards, of course, when you have this software set up, you're going to build your scripts. And there are two approaches that you can use. I have other videos on my YouTube building scripts and talking specifically about this side of things. You can check them out. I'm going to probably attach some screenshots on this video so you can take a look at some of our best performing scripts. On my YouTube, I also have some video breakdowns explaining the exact scripts, breaking them down, how you can build them out for yourself. But let's get back to the video. Essentially, you just want to have, one main body copy, a subject line, and the follow-ups are going to be the next section, right? This is the main things that you need for cold email. It's very important, that you have this nailed in. There are a couple of principles that I want to give you when you're building out your scripts. Is you need to pattern interrupt. If I can say one thing, and only one thing about building scripts, using all my knowledge, I would say pattern interrupt. Because people are going through their day-to-day, they're being blasted everywhere. They go through their Instagram, they see all this junk, people messaging them, they go to their email, they see all of this shitty cold emails. And if you can interrupt the pattern of all of this junk and actually stand out, this is going to give you exponential leverage. And the way I see it, and I talk about it always, is 1% of copies get 80% of the results, right? So it's this 1%, 80% principles. This is how I see it. And then the other 99%, they get the 20% of the results. This is it. As you can see, this right here. This is how I see it. And I think it's pretty true. It's not, of course, accurate to the T, but after testing it's probably over 2 million cold emails at this point, this is what I've seen. Super important that you understand that if you have a pattern interrupt, and if you have good credibility, it doesn't even have to be your credibility. You can just use market credibility, right? Let's say you run ads for plumbers. You can just use the strategy that you're using right now, performing for other plumbers, and you can just say, yeah, this strategy allowed plumbers across the US to generate over 300 million, blah, blah, blah. This is it. Good credibility. And then offer, right? This is also an exponential leverage thing. So if you have a risk reversal offer, if you have a performance-based guarantee or something like that, make sure to include it here, because if you don't, you're just missing out on leverage that you could gain otherwise. And the last thing, super important, is to keep the entire copy high level. You never give out pricing, never give out any specific details about your product. Of course, you can tell them about the deliverables, what else, but if they ask you for the pricing, you always want to try and gatekeep it, unless they ask you like 2 or 3 times. In that sense, you just give them the pricing, but always keep your messaging at high level. It's very important that you do this. Now, the next thing that we have to talk about here are the follow-ups, okay? Now, the way we approach our follow-ups is, some people would call it crazy. I call it sane because it gets results, and everybody who's sane wants to get results, right? So we do 8 email follow-ups if somebody engages with our message and doesn't end up booking a call. We do 4 SMS follow-ups, and we do 4 dials, triple dials, right? So we call them 3 times if they don't answer for the first phone call. This is it. This is how we do it. In email, there are a couple of things that you can touch base on right here. You have the bumps. A bump is just a general message saying, did you receive my message? I'm just bumping this up to make sure that this is at the top of your inbox. So there's, blah, blah, blah. This is just like bumping up the message, really. Then what we have are the memes. Now this depends on what kind of brand you want to have, if you want to be associated with humor and shit. But we always use memes because they do this thing right here. They interrupt the pattern of the day. They interrupt the prospect in a positive way because everybody's going to laugh at this shit. And then another thing that we have is personalized images. Personalized PNG, so you can just create, an image. It doesn't even have to be with AI. You can just take a picture of yourself, have a whiteboard like this one, write down the prospect's name, and then just take a selfie and say, still waiting for your reply, man. If it's a really good lead, you can just spend time with them, nurture them. What else do we have? We have emotional ties. What I would typically do here is I would just say, hey man, look, was a good conversation so far. I didn't think you're the type of person who would just ghost me straight out of the air. I guess I got the wrong impression of you. This is going to it can get them a little bit angry, but at the end of the day, what we're looking for is a response. We're looking for attention and engagement. This is what we're looking for here. So this is generally what we do for follow-ups. With the main email, the way we approach this is we have one main email, and then we have one follow-up. And this follow-up needs to have a relevant reference, right? So in the main email, we would just state our offer. We would explain our credibility, sometimes even send them a personalized Loom using Luminia. So it's this platform if you want to explore it out. Luminia.ai. And then in the second follow-up, we would just say, are you the right person to speak with, or should I speak with Sarah instead? If Sarah is one of their employees, right? Let's say they're their marketing manager and you're selling them advertising services. This is what I would do. It's super simple. And then the last section we have is nurturing. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Nurturing is a very important process because what happened to me is I've been running like cold email for 2 years at this point, a little bit less, 1 year and 8 months maybe. That's how long I've been running cold emails. Before that, I was an SDR, I was cold calling. But essentially, there's one important thing that I've learned, right? You can book like 20 calls a month, 20 quality calls, but if you only get like 10 people to show up, it's shit, right? Now you need nurturing processes to help you increase this number, right? Now essentially what I would be aiming for is like 16 shows. That's a realistic number. We're getting about, if we're booking 20 calls, we would be getting about 18 shows. And about 12 to 13 of them would be qualified if we're getting the right leads in. So 16 shows, this is what we're aiming for, right? It increases the number exponentially, right? Because it also decreases your costs, and it's a super simple thing that you can implement, right? Now, what we would typically do is we would have a thank you page. So if you go into the description, book a call with me, don't just book it straight out of the way, but we have a thank you page. You know, if you book a call with us, you're going to be able to see it. This is one thing that pre-qualifies the prospects and make sure that they're actually, you know, prepared for the call and they have context. The next thing is WhatsApp. Right? So for every single lead that books in, I personally add them on WhatsApp, send them a selfie video or a voice note, and send them a client testimonial or two. And I resend this thank you page again, right? This is another thing. And then of course you can have go high level sequencing. So you just send them SMS reminders and email reminders so they don't forget about this meeting. All right. But important thing is if you have testimonials, always send them out. Always send them out before the call. Super important that you do this because it's just going to add additional trust and the close is going to be super, super easy at this point when they already see your system working. This is it. This is the outbound funnel that we're running for this agency, generated over $200,000 in 2026. That's it. I'll see you in the next one. But one thing before I end up this video is if you want us to build a system like this for you internally, and you already have an established agency, consulting business, or a coaching business, you can book a call with me in the description. There's a page called actiscale.com, discovery, super simple. If you want, if you want help with this, you can always look at my YouTube videos. I also have a Down With You program where I teach agency owners who are making less than 20, 30K a month. I teach them this exact thing in detail. So if you're looking forward into anything like that, you can book a call with me. I don't really care because I'm getting most of our meetings through Instagram outreach and cold email. We're also running some cold SMS campaigns right now and also LinkedIn, but primarily cold email and Instagram. So look, if you're looking forward to this, I encourage you to book a call. If not, that's fine. And I'll see you in the next one.